Hey, this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Om Klim Kalike Namaha. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video, which is about the new moon, which will be happening in Cancer. Now, Cancer is all about the home. This is our inner emotions, our intuition, family, the mother, to just name a few things. And this is actually going to be in the nakshatra Ashlesha. Ashlesha translates into coiling, clinging, embracing, entwining, and the symbol is the coiled snake. This nakshatra has a lot to do with deception, secrecy, insincerity, and those events or people that can be poisonous to us. The positive note, this is about intuition, wisdom, concentration, sexuality, kundalini, and it can also be the thing that we cling on to that's unhealthy for us out of our own insecurity or neediness. But for the world predictions, we usually go more towards the negative side, unfortunately, because that's just how the world is. Our DNA is also represented by this nakshatra because it's likened to a coiled snake. This is a karma brought forth from past lives that we must now face. So the moon is the lord of the 11th house, and then the sun is the lord of the 12th house. So a loss of a leader is very possible for health reasons. These reasons may be covered up by deception, or the leader may step down or end their own reign, or there could be something coming out about this leader that was shown their deception or something that they were hiding. I've noticed this nakshatra used a lot by those in the government to create weather disasters. One was the Maui fires last year, and just recently were the fires in Jasper, Canada, which were just like the Maui fires. This nakshatra is used for diabolical purposes, for deceit, destruction, death, and doom. Another word for this nakshatra is doctor, where we can see an agenda at play. This happens because this nakshatra is where we must kill the snake in order to gain our crown in Magha, which is the next nakshatra. And this crown is worn by the elites of today, the government, celebrities, and we are the snakes to them that need to be slain. If you remember the story of the Maui fires, right after they acquired the land, so the elites profited from this disaster. So this can bring up people who are ruthless, cold, and cunning. As Mercury is a significator of Ashlesha and it's conjunct Venus in the second house, beware of romance scams, catfish who may be after your money. These people can be in high-ranking positions in life as well, and they can be very good talkers or deceive you to believing that they are high-ranking. Now, this is happening within 3 degrees of Rahu in the 8th house for the United States. And the US is in Rahu Dasha. In mundane astrology, the 8th house signifies the demise of rulers, the cabinet of the prime minister or the president, public debt, foreign debt, stock markets, legacies, and also a risk through war and natural disasters. This is the first pada, which deals with enemies, conflicts, and disease. It's interesting to note that Saturn is also squaring Mars in the 6th house, which is conflicts, health, and war. And Mars is also trining Ketu in the US's chart, which is in its 10th house. This Ketu is conjunct natal Saturn by sign, which is why we're seeing a change in leadership, which I do expect to happen in the upcoming election. And the change in leadership was Biden stepping down. This is also the assassination attempt, which was also staged. So it can indicate something happening to a leader as well. This is kind of playing out, but there's going to be more things that will play out as well. Trump should still be cautious as Saturn is squaring his natal sun in the 10th house and transiting Mars, which is nearing an exact conjunction. This exact square will happen on August 15th. Jupiter is there, which is also the 8th house lord. So he must be careful of his health. for the world, Mercury in the second house, this can show a downturn in the markets. Also, because the fifth house lord, Mars, is being aspected by Saturn, which is in the eighth house, and Mars is in the 11th. The fifth house is speculative gains. The 11th house is gains, like monetary gains. And the second house is the house of possessions. Mercury is 12 houses from its own sign. There is a slight conflict in money matters that can pop up. Jupiter and Mars in the 11th house in Rohini Nakshatra. This is all about the harvest, the ox cart that brings us the fruits of our labor, which is being hemmed by Saturn. So we must work extra hard to accumulate these things. And this could be a sign of inflation. Rohini is also the wheels of commerce, material security and acquisition. Jupiter is the sixth house lord being aspected by Saturn, as is conjunct Mars. So we must be cautious of health matters that may be popping up in the population or in the government, in public places. This can also be conflicts happening in places that people assembled and create some anger, conflicts and aggression, such as protests against laws, matters overseas like warlike activities. With all this affecting the 11th house has to do with the parliament, the legislators, national treasuries, Department of Government, the vice presidents of countries, friends of nations, organizations, people assembling together, environmental control, the will of the people, gains from other nations. All of this is seeing a conflict. Saturn in the 8th house is showing us that this can bring a risk of natural disasters, such as earthquakes, but also floods as well, because is aspecting Scorpio. This can be seen by the 4th house lord and the 2nd house lord with Mercury, and Mercury is the 12th house lord. So hospitalizations due to weather events are very likely. Saturn also has a 6th aspect, and it is 8th from the moon. When we have that 6/8 aspect, it's never a good sign. So another indication there could be death and natural disasters or health-like matters that pop up. I wonder if it's the bird flu, because we're going through the same transits that happened when there was a bird flu outbreak, and I was predicting that in my videos that I talked about, my eclipse videos. And we've been seeing some things pop up, and maybe this might pop up a little bit more. We'll see. Hopefully not. Now, Mercury being 12th from its own sign and K2 in its sign, because K2 is in Virgo right now, it can indicate death or losses from accidents in transport. Rahu is in the 9th house, indicating war and violence overseas. And this can be directly in water that can possibly affect the Navy, shipping, long distance travel. This may also affect the law and judges, religion. We could have religious leaders acting out of the norm, a science acting a little bit out of the norm, or new scientific discoveries. But also there could be some accidents while traveling, and this could have to do with ships. Also, railways should be cautious as well, but mostly things in water. Or it can also have to do with spills in water, is very possible, because this is dealing with poisons, this nakshatra. It's also dealing with the petroleum industry, which I possibly could be seeing an uptake in price. Rahu is chemicals as well, and this is nakshatra dealing with chemicals, so hopefully something isn't spilled into the ocean. The other professions this includes is legal and illegal drug dealers, and politicians who are self-serving, and there'll be a lot of them during this moon. Psychologists, con artists, so we be careful of those. Scammers, pornography and prostitution industries, dealing with doctors, issues around doctors, healing profession, psychologists, psychiatrists. False gurus could be popping up, maybe gurus and cult leaders, stories around that. And this also deals with baseball players as well. It's also interesting to note that later on this day, Mercury goes retrograde, and it goes from Magha, it will start, and Mercury is the significator of Ashlesha, so it's interesting that it goes retrograde right after this. So we're going to be seeing a lot of activity. This will actually increase the energy of Ashlesha. In my predictions for August, I'm going to talk about Mercury retrograde in great detail, but it will start on August 4th and it will end on August 28th. It will go over the Gandanta point, so this will be a a point of crisis that has to do with mercurial themes, which I'll talk about in my next video. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.